everybody. How are you? I'm the Dr. Bob Lee, your host, and you're watching Open. It's that live interactive broadcast that brings New York City and, of course, BronxNet straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Now, leading things off, our first guest is a former healthcare worker, entrepreneur, and author of the book, Say No More. She joins us today to speak about the work she is doing in our Black and Brown communities. Please welcome to the show, Maria Trusa. Maria, how are you?
Hi, Bob. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me in your show. It is always a privilege. I always say this. It is always a privilege for me to be able to continue spreading the mission of my movement and talk about my story and with the hope that I am a catalyst to people that have gone through trauma. Thank you.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about your story, Maria.
Yeah, so Bob, I come from the Dominican Republic, Dominicana. I was born and raised there, and I had a really traumatic first 10 years of my life. I look at my life as decades, and the first decade has been so far, I'm 56, and for me has been the most traumatic and more difficult decade. So as many immigrants, my mom had to come to New York because my father, unfortunately, was an alcoholic, and she had 5 kids, and she was not able to support us. And at the age of 9, because I want people to write the book, so I'm not going to be able to tell you my story in this little bit of time that we have here, but I describe everything in the book. The biggest story is that at the age of 9, my father, who is supposed to be my protector, and I'm the only girl out of 5 kids, came home in the middle of the night with witchcraft men in the Dominican Republic. During that era, believe it or not, they were sacrificing kids.
What did they call it? Did they call it spiritita or something like that?
Sí, brujos.
Brujos.
So they were taking my little brother that was 4 years old, and I started screaming, and I said, "You can't take him." My father then said, "Then you go." So he took
Wait, you go where to be sacrificed?
Then I didn't know, obviously, at the age of 9, I had no clue what they were going to do to my little brother. So he asked, he said, "Then you're going to have to go." I had no clue where I was going. I had no clue what was going to happen to me, but I knew I was scared, obviously. So my father takes me with the men, the brujo, and he took me to his house, and the men took me where he did witchcraft. And Suantario, they call it in Spanish. And he forced me to drink a bottle of whiskey at the age of 9. After that,
the whole bottle.
The whole bottle. Wow. And he gave me some pills. I don't know what he gave me, but he told me before I became intoxicated that whatever was going to happen, if I ever said anything, I will be killed and my family will be killed. I ended up that night in a motel. He brutally raped me the entire night. I woke up in the morning and I could hardly walk. I was bleeding. I tried to go to the bathroom. I had to hold on to the wall because I could not walk. And when I went to the bathroom, I knew I was raped. And I could hardly get up. I fell on the floor in the bathroom, and then I had to get up, and I was afraid to go back out because now I was really conscious. And when he did this, I was halfway conscious, but I felt the pain, and he destroyed me. He destroyed me inside, and not only inside, but he destroyed my life. He destroyed my innocence. And I had to carry this on with me for many years of my life, for many decades of my life. And that's how my life started.
So has this helped you by putting the pen to the paper and putting it all out on paper and getting it out of your mind and then speaking to others about it?
Yeah, so I started a healing process when my father actually he was my son. My first son was my catalyst. At the age of 19, I was pregnant and I had my son Franco. And I realized when Franco was born that I was extremely broken because I couldn't connect to this boy. I couldn't connect to my son. One night, I talk about it in the book. I took my son and I shook him because he couldn't stop crying. And I threw him in the bed and my son fell on the floor. I almost killed my son. And that was it for me. This was the catalyst to start this journey process, this healing process that took me years. So the answer to your question is the book is basically a product of my children asking me to not go without telling the story, because I've healed and I still deal, we never heal fully. We always have to work at this, but I have a beautiful life and very successful children. And more than anything, Bob, it's that I found this inner peace that I've been searching for. And at my 50s, I say I arrived. Like I arrived to where I wanted to be, where my past doesn't define me. So the book obviously was really therapeutic for me, and now is a book that is making a difference in many people's lives.
Wow, Maria, you've been through some traumatic times there. Wow. And I'm glad you have come out on the other side of it and you're able to help others with that. Tell us a little bit about the Scarsdale Medical Group that you're working with.
So I worked at Scarsdale Medical Group for 27 years. 26 years of my life, actually, I spent there. I was a medical assistant, ended up in 2 years being a manager. And in 4 years, I was the executive director for the rest of my career there. But I've decided in 2015 that I was leaving, and I always had this. I've been a mission person. Like I love helping people, and I think that's why I got into healthcare. So in 2015, I ended up leaving because I was going to create a medical center dedicated to the Latino community with a very strong focus on the undocumented population, people that don't have insurance. And we have been able to make a long story short, because that's one of my mission. And I know my business partner will be talking about Formé later on in your show. And for me, Formé is one of the first mission, the big mission that I realized I was put on this planet to do. I have a purpose. I have many purposes. And the purpose of helping the undocumented population is one of those very dear to my heart. So to make a long story short, I am here 5 years later. We have over 30,000 patients, and we're very proud of that. We help many people without insurance. We created a medical membership for the uninsured community. So it's been wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your hunger. I know you want to move on and do something. Tell us about that.
So I've decided that when I started speaking about my book, and we did the launch of my book, and I ended up speaking in different speaking engagements, as I was speaking, people were coming to me and telling me that they were raped. And I have a house in Vermont, and I use this house many times to bring a lot of women that you ski.
Yeah.
I go to Vermont in Killington. I have a place about 10 minutes from Killington where I've been going there for the past 20 years, but I have this house 5 years ago. And it's a house where I bring, especially women Latinas that I want to empower and show them a different way. So when I was there with about 10 women and we were in the jacuzzi and I started telling them my story, and 8 out of the 10 women were raped when they were kids. 8.
And they held it in, and now was the time to bring it out. Probably for the first time.
Yes. And so I want to be the voice for the voiceless. And that is the reason I've created a movement that's called Yo Digo No Más. Today, we have our first board meeting. It's big. This movement will be big. I've been working on this for about a year. We have a show that is a movement show. It's Yo Digo No Mas show with me. And I have my niece who is a doctor in psychology that is my co-host. And the idea of the show and the idea of the movement is to create a platform where people can start telling their stories. Because if we don't speak up and we don't break the silence, this vicious generational cycle of sexual abuse in interfamily will not stop. It is such a serious issue, but the problem is that we are uncomfortable talking about it. I call it the uncomfortable truth.
Yeah.
And I even see it, Bob, when I do posts and I talk about sexual abuse, my posts hardly get any likes. I could do a post of me eating with my fiance and we get tons of likes because people are uncomfortable talking about sexual abuse. But this is a silent pandemic that is affecting our Latino generations and is destroying.
Yo digo no más.
Yo digo no más. I say no more.
Say no more.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Where can we go to get more information on all this enlightening stuff that you're doing in our community, helping others to realize some of the hurt that they've been through and bringing out some of that trauma that they've experienced in their lives?
So we have a website for Yo Digo No Mas, yodigonomas.com. I have a personal website, mariatrusa.org, and you can get all the information if it makes it easier because everything is connected. You can get my book in my website. You can go to Amazon. The book is in Spanish, in English. It's in Audible in Spanish, and we're working on the Audible in English that is going to come out next month. I also do a podcast that I put on, it's on Spotify, it's on Anchor, and on my website. And the idea of the podcast is I reflect every day. So I share my reflections because we tend not to reflect. And so I invite all of your audience to connect with me and follow me on social media. Yo Digo No Mas has an Instagram. Maria Trusa has an Instagram too. And for me too, for me.
There you go. Maria, tell me where to go in Spanish. Briefly, you got 30 seconds.
Okay. Pueden ir a nuestra página web, yodigonomas.com. También tenemos la página de Instagram de Yo Digo No Mas y el Facebook page de Yo Digo No Mas y mariatrusa.org, O-R-G.
There you go. All right. Say it again. Yo digo no más.
I say no more. This is our sign. I say no more.
There you go. Maria, thank you so much. We love you and thank you for all that you're sharing, okay? And you're always welcome back.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that.
How do you say in Spanish, my house is your house?
Mi casa es tu casa. Thank you.
Exacto.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, we'll take a break right here. We got more open coming up next. Don't move a muscle. We've got it going on for you.